Welcome to Let's Talk English Podcast. Learn English with podcast.
Today, we're exploring an idea that might surprise you. Stepping back or disappearing as a strategy for growth, not escape. Evan, can you explain why there's power in quietly walking away from old environments?
Absolutely, Aaron. In a world that celebrates constant noise and attention, choosing to withdraw can seem counterintuitive. But, much like a seed grows best under the soil, personal transformation often starts in silence, away from external pressure.
That's a great analogy. So, you're saying that stepping back isn't about giving up, but about reclaiming space to heal and refocus?
Exactly. When you remove yourself from distractions and expectations, you create room for self-reflection. It's not about running from problems, but about finding clarity before your next leap.
Let's transition to the cultural side. Why do you think society expects transformation to be loud and dramatic?
Much of it comes from social media. Platforms reward big announcements and public progress. But true change, like the ocean receding before a wave, often happens in quiet moments that no one sees.
I love that ocean metaphor. Are there downsides to making every change public?
Definitely. Public change invites outside opinions, which can create pressure to perform or conform instead of genuinely evolve. Silent growth allows for authentic, self-driven progress without interference.
Let's dig deeper into the healing process. How does choosing silence actually help us heal, especially when we're tempted to explain ourselves to others?
Silence gives you space to process emotions without judgment. When you stop performing for others, you reconnect with your true needs and values. Studies show that periods of intentional solitude can reduce anxiety and increase self-awareness.
That's fascinating. So, instead of seeking validation, we should focus on rebuilding ourselves from the inside out?
Precisely. Internal validation is more sustainable. When you heal in silence, your confidence becomes grounded in experience, not external approval.
But Evan, a lot of listeners might worry, what will people think if I disappear for a while? How do you address that fear?
It's totally normal. We're conditioned to seek acceptance. Yet, as research from the University of Houston found, most people overestimate how much others care about their personal decisions. Often, those who demand explanations benefited from your old patterns.
So, is it fair to say we don't owe anyone a justification for choosing peace?
Absolutely. Your well-being comes first. The right people respect your boundaries, even in silence.
Once we've stepped back, what's the value in rebuilding privately, especially in our hyper-connected world?
Logging off removes constant comparison. For example, a study by the University of Pennsylvania showed that limiting social media led to lower depression and loneliness. In solitude, you can hear your own thoughts and set your own goals, much like J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter away from the spotlight.
So, private rebuilding isn't just about avoidance, it's about intentional growth?
Exactly. You can experiment, fail, and refine your skills without feeling scrutinized. It's a safe lab for self-improvement.
Another key step is letting go of what no longer serves us. Why is this so hard, and how can we do it gracefully?
Letting go often feels like grief because a part of your identity is tied to those habits or roles. But, like upgrading software, you sometimes have to uninstall old programs to make room for better ones. It's okay to let outdated versions of yourself fade quietly.
That's a helpful analogy. So, growth means accepting that not everything from our past belongs in our future?
Exactly. Release what's expired, and you'll travel lighter into your next chapter.
Let's shift to discomfort. Why does stepping back feel so uncomfortable, and how does that discomfort actually promote growth?
Discomfort is the mind's way of signaling change. In solitude, you face your fears and patterns head-on. Studies on resilience show that sitting with discomfort, rather than escaping it, leads to greater emotional strength and clarity.
So, solitude can be a training ground for resilience, similar to how athletes train alone to build discipline?
Absolutely. Like David Goggins, facing yourself in silence builds a mental armor that public applause can't provide.
Let's connect this to language learning. How can listeners use their quiet phase to improve English fluency?
Use solitude to narrate your thoughts in English, record your voice, or write journals. This private practice lowers anxiety and builds real confidence. Studies show that self-talk in a new language accelerates fluency by reinforcing vocabulary and grammar.
So, even if it feels awkward, practicing alone can make public speaking easier down the line?
Definitely. The more you internalize English privately, the more natural it becomes in conversation.
After the silence comes the return. How does quietly emerging after a period of growth impact the way others perceive us?
When you focus on the process instead of the performance, your transformation becomes undeniable. People notice real change, not because you announced it, but because your actions and presence speak for themselves. It's the show, don't tell principle.
So, rather than seeking applause, we should let our progress do the talking?
Exactly. Authentic growth inspires more than any announcement ever could.
To wrap up, it's time for Charlotte's vocabulary breakdown, her favorite way to make sure everyone leaves with actionable English skills. Charlotte, what are the standout words and phrases from today's episode?
Thanks, Aaron. Let's break down a few. Vanish means to disappear suddenly, much like stepping away from social media. Solitude is the state of being alone, but by choice, which is crucial for self-discovery. Validation refers to seeking approval from others, a big theme today.
That's super helpful. Any tips for listeners to master these new words?
Practice by creating your own sentences. For example, he vanished from the group chat to focus on exams. Using words in context cements them in memory. And remember, our free PDF has more exercises and definitions to reinforce your learning.